Hello everyone, today I have a little tutorial about ground simulator battles in War Thunder in collaboration with my friend and colleague Throwaway Modeler. We broke it down to 6 steps we think people new to sim battles will find useful and quite helpful. We won't go too much into details and we want to keep it really simple, as this is just a few tips on helping you get started. If you want to learn more, you can visit the War Thunder wiki, which will of course be linked in the description. You can even ask on subreddit r/War Thunder. Well, let's get started. Since my friend will cover half of the list, I will cover first 3 steps, which are get to know your enemy and team, game mechanics, and learn your tank. So let's start with the step 1, get to know your enemy and team. When I say get to know your enemy and your team is when you open the list and go to ground simulator battles, you look at the list of nations that are playing against each other, so you know what you're going to be facing and what's going to be on your team. And since there are catches to both sides, it can be quite tricky actually. So let's see what might happen. So for example, let's say you're playing Germany like I do myself, but don't worry, this works for any nation. All 6 steps work for any nation and any tank you're playing. So let's say you play Germany like I do. On your team you can actually have Churchills, KV1s, KV2s. Italy, for example, can have some tanks like M4 Tipo IC, which is actually a Sherman, but it's Italian. It's Land-Leased, I think. And then Japanese also have Sherman and M24. So it might be a little bit difficult to know who is who in the hits of battle. So you'll have to be careful. So it's better to prepare beforehand. For example, you see, let's see, M4 Tipo IC, and I don't know, let's see who is similar to it, M4A1. So you go and quickly compare those 2 vehicles. So you open it in customization or preview, depends, do you have it or not. So you look at it, oh, it looks more like a British Firefly. So okay, it's not we're not gonna look at Americans, we're gonna look at British. Though it has this distinctive marks, for example, this marks here on the sides where the ammo goes, where the ammo storage is, close by here. Yeah, pretty much it, I think. Okay, let's look at the British one. Maybe we can spot some more differences there. Where is British Sherman Firefly? Preview. Yeah, the Sherman Firefly has these rough edges, not smooth one like the Italian one, for example. It also has these ports for the machine gunner and the driver. And it also had this add-on stuff on the turret, the grenade, the smoke grenade launcher. Let's see, that's pretty much it. Doesn't have that line there. So you can see some differences on both of them. So that's kind of what you have to work with here. Also works for the KV1s and KV2s, Churchill, and the other vehicles. So beforehand, before you start, look at the list, look what you might be facing and what is on your team, and compare the similar vehicles you might encounter. So that's it for step 1. Game mechanics. In this step, we are gonna cover how the game performs when you're playing simulator battles. So I'll show it on the example of going into test drive, but with simulator battle settings on a Tiger E. So let's test drive. You choose simulator battles and press OK. Okay, now here you're limited to the commander view only. So your commander sits exactly here. And press O, you'll see that's actually the commander. Down there is the gunner, and right of it, it's loader. So you cannot press shift to zoom out into third view or third person view. Here you're also limited by the sights of the actual gun sights. And that's something we're gonna cover in the next step. So stay tuned for that. So here vehicles perform more realistically. Let's show you. Yeah, you see on the depending on the range you're firing, you also have to adjust your sights to the path of the round. This, there we go, and you also have to compensate for the drop of the grenade. Changing the grenades as usual. Everything else is actually quite similar in realistic ground battles. But here's the difference: is you don't see markers of your friends, nor your enemies. You only see your markers. There is actually no markers at all. Not even on the map. You only see on the map. You only see the markers of the points. No enemies, no friendlies. So you'll have, if you wanna help your friends, you'll have to know their exact location, or if you want a friend to help you, you'll have to inform them of your exact location with commands like pressing T and then I think it's 4, then I'm not sure which ones, but that's something that my friend covered on his part of the video. So as long as the mechanics goes, you don't have a third person view, you are limited to gun sights, no markers for friends, no enemies, not even on the map, you only see where the points are. So that's it for this step. Let's go to the next one. Learn your tank. In this step, we are gonna use the Tiger we used in a step before to show you that you need to know your tank better so you can understand how it works in the simulator battle and how it behaves, and it might help you later. It actually will help you a lot later. So let's see. For example, we had the gun sights that were you're only limited to. So let's see where they actually are. So you open X-ray, and it's usually here on the German tanks, like next to the gun, just in front of the gunner. And it actually tells you the optics, how much the zoom it has, and sight field of view, or FOV. That's quite useful information. For example, some Americans don't have really that much of a zoom, so it mostly works where your gunner actually only presses his head a little bit further in the sights, and that's your actual zoom level. So there is no big difference. And for German tanks, they actually have a really nice zoom, like here, for example. So that's why really useful for later in the steps that my friend will explain. Let's see, commander, it's also important to know where your commander sits, so you can know where your camera is going to be located. And also from commander's view, when you're using binoculars, that's the point from which they are pointing from the tank. So when you're using binoculars, it's above the commander, and your view when you start is above the commander, and from that point you are looking around your tank. So it's not centralized like above the gun or anywhere in that area. It's above the commander and strictly above the commander. So let's see, for example, the different vehicle, Wirbelwind, which has a commander on the right side. So you start at the right side, your view is above the commander, which is obvious difference to the other people, since he has he doesn't have a helmet, he has a hat. But the optics are here as they are on the vehicle, in the center, but above the guns. So you're aiming from this point, and when you're shooting, you have to aim a little bit higher to compensate from that high distance from the center of guns firing and where your optics are. And that's how you use that. Another useful things to learn about your tank is armor values, but you should already know that from playing realistic. Not many people know, but it's here and you can use this into your advantage. For example, how to angle your Tiger, for example. Not a lot of people also know that, which is a surprise. So you can use it here to see what values of effective thickness you get from angling at a certain angle your tank. Can you deflect the shells, or will shells go through? You can also use protection analysis to see what you're gonna face. For example, we had M4A2, his M62 shell. It won't go through here because it's angled. It's at optimal angle, well, where the shell won't go through to the side or the frontal armor, but if it's face on 90 degrees, the shell goes through and basically kills your tank because you lost 4 crew members in that situation. So it's really important to know capabilities of your own vehicle you're gonna take into battle. And you can do that for any vehicle in the game, from protection analysis to X-rays. You can also see various optics where they are, especially the gun sights. You have to look around the gun for those. It's different on every vehicle, but it tells you where you can find it quite close. It's actually always in front of the gunner. So, for example, for the Tiger 1, it's here on the left side of the gun. But if you go to the Leo 2A5, the optics are above the gun and right side of the gun. Though they are not really in front of the gunner because they're connected through the armor, so you cannot easily pan it in the turret, but still it is in front of the gunner himself. So that's everything for me. Next 3 steps is gonna cover my friend and colleague Throwaway Modeler.
Thank you to Luksha. And now for tip number 4, bushes. I found bushes one of the most important parts of the preparation before the battle itself. With poor visibility present in simulator battles, they are a very effective way of concealing you. They do cost you money, unfortunately. 500 golden eagles per bush. You can use bushes on as many vehicles as you like, but only one type of bush per week. But there's also one drawback with them in simulator battles. You notice that I didn't put any bushes right here. Well, that is because I have my optics right here. Now, if I were to put a bush over it, right this, then we'd have a problem. And this is that problem. Because the optics are concealed by the bushes, you actually cannot see through it. This isn't present in realistic battle, of course, but it does make life a bit more interesting, if you will, for simulator battles. So I suggest that you don't put them on over your optics. Well, how do you then put on bushes, and where are the best places? Well, I find the best places is to protect, well, your weak points. German medium tanks of the mid ranks have a really big driver's hatch right here, also the machine gun port right here and here, also the commander's cupola here. So I use bushes to protect them all. You can see right here, and also if you have an extra bush, you can just throw it more there, so it's getting concealed much better. So yeah, that's about it for the bushes. Another good tip that I found is to play with your audio. Now, you hear how loud my engine is, right? Especially when moving, you really cannot hear other people if they're near or far from you. Well, to fix that, go to your options, sound, and there you can lower the volume of your engine. It doesn't go to 0, but it goes to 20, which is still pretty low. And not only that, you can also boost other people's engine volumes to 100. What this does is basically get you a 0 and them 100. See, it's much quieter. And this is the AI's engine, which is turned on and in neutral, and it's still quite a bit louder than mine when it's even moving. Another good feature is that you can turn off your engine. Per default, this thing isn't set in your controls, so you have to go on your controls for ground vehicles, of course, find the movement and the turn on/off engine. I set it to I, same as with aircraft. What this does is, well, it allows you to turn off your engine. This does have a drawback. You see the battery counter in the bottom left, in the bottom center. Well, this is how much battery your tank actually has. So if you have an electric drive, once that counter reaches 0, your turret will become hand cranked and it will be much slower to turn around. Also, if you're being ambushed by an enemy player, you won't have as much time to react. So, for example, there's someone right behind me. I first have to fire up my engine, rev it up, and only then I can move, which does take some time. But the benefit is that you're completely silent once you turn off your engine, and you can ambush other people much more easily. And what is also really important in simulator battles is to, of course, stay together. A lone panther or a lone tiger won't survive long, such is in real life as well. That is why they were always sent out as multiples. Since then, if one gets hit, you can always support him from behind, help him repair, or fire back if the gun was damaged. And also, 2 guns are always better than 1. Helping out your teammates also means pointing on the map. You may become under fire or you see an enemy on the battlefield, but you cannot get a real clear shot at them. Point out their location on the map. It doesn't need to be exact, but the closer it is, the better. Here you see Scruffy of the past not follow the former advice about bushes, and because of that I'll be destroyed. But I did point out the location of the 2 T-34s on the map, so they were destroyed as well.
Well, thank you, Skrosky, for those tips. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully you learned something new. So stay safe and see you in battle. Bye bye.